committee will do it wrong, which means we are here to do it right. And we've got a new number one team in our GE Top 25 rankings, our second to last set of rankings of the entire season. So let's go ahead, let's skip the pleasantries, let's jump right on into it. We got a lot of shakeups in this week's rankings. Of course, starting at the top with a team you're all familiar with a team that was actually named the number one team in the country last week, the Georgia Bulldogs. We have replaced Michigan as our number one team in the country. Michigan held that spot for many, many weeks here at the Gridiron Expert. Georgia has now retaken the throne of the top team in the country. Why? Because Georgia has now won 3 straight games over top 25 opponents, actually all top 18 opponents. They beat Missouri, they crushed Ole Miss, and they just crushed Tennessee 38-10 in Knoxville, compared to Michigan, who barely survived Maryland 31-24 on the road. Michigan's still a dang good football team, and this will continue to work itself out depending on the outcome of the game this Saturday between Ohio State and Michigan. The last few weeks, I have been more impressed with Georgia and the teams they have played than that of Michigan, who really has not played anybody that great other than Penn State and now Ohio State coming up this Saturday. So Georgia, based on what they've done the last few weeks and the way they have won, retakes the crown, retakes the throne at number 1, followed by Michigan at number 2. Washington is up to number 3 in our GE Top 25. The Huskies move up from 4th to 3rd, taking over Florida State for that spot. Again, similar situation to Georgia here. The Huskies have been playing really, really good football as of late. They've been playing it all year. They're undefeated. They've got a quality win over Oregon. They've got the big win over Utah last week. And then this past Saturday, going on the road to beat Oregon State 22-20 in a downpour of rain in Corvallis. A very, very impressive victory led by Washington's defense. One of their better defensive performances of the year, forcing 3 turnovers in that game, getting the crucial turnover on downs with about 2 minutes left in the game. The Huskies win on the road in Corvallis, more impressive obviously than Florida State's win over North Alabama. Again, not punishing necessarily Florida State for scheduling an FCS or anything like that, but obviously the resume for Washington a little bit more impressive. Well, they've done the last few weeks a little bit more impressive than that of Florida State, who barely got by Miami and then beat North Alabama. So Washington up to number 3. Florida State down to number 4. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Seminoles going forward with more likely the loss of Jordan Travis for the year. Gruesome leg injury against North Alabama. It was devastating to see such a talented player go down. The Seminoles, if they win out, including the ACC championship over Louisville, they will be in the college football playoff, even though they won't have their star quarterback. The question is, can they get there with the road game at Florida this week and then the game against Louisville? Can they win out? One loss, and they're done. Oregon at number 5, they remain unchanged. To be frank with you, 5 through 9, they have not changed our rankings. Oregon beats Arizona State 49-13. They remain at number 5. Ohio State, many are upset. They're at number 6. We've explained our reasoning for that before. Not going to go through that again. Bottom line is, if you're crying about it, get over it. It's fine. It's going to work itself out this Saturday, right? Ohio State, if you beat Michigan, you skyrocket in the rankings. You're back in the top 4. All's good because you'll beat Michigan, you'll beat Iowa. You lose to Michigan, proves you're right. Game over. Michigan goes, you don't. So, again, we're going to get a lot of clarity this weekend in rivalry week with these rankings. Michigan's going to play Ohio State. Next week, we're more than likely going to get Washington and Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. We don't know what could happen with Florida State, but Florida State and Louisville are going to have to play each other. So Georgia's going to play Alabama. So over these next 2 weeks, we're going to get a lot of clarity, especially in the top 10. So if you don't like where your team's ranked right now, just go out there and win. Right? Because you're going to get that opportunity to see where they're ranked. You're going to get the opportunity to rise up in the rankings. The opportunity is out there. The Final Four is still far from set. So, again, we don't want to go through all that again, but it's going to work itself out because we have some major games left to be played, whether it's this week in rivalry week or in conference championship week. So 5 through 9, again, remain unchanged. We touched on Oregon, touched on Ohio State. Texas survives Iowa State by 10 in Ames. Alabama beats Chattanooga. No big deal there. Louisville beats Miami on the road 38-31. Close game against the Hurricanes, but they got the win. A couple minor changes in the lower parts of the 10-14 range. Missouri up a spot, beating Florida 33-31. They kind of slip into the top 10 there after a few changes. The biggest thing, obviously, being Oregon State losing to Washington. Oregon State, we had ranked 10th last week in our rankings, so that one loss in the top 10 opened the door for Missouri to slip in there. Missouri not playing for a playoff spot or anything like that, but they are playing for a New Year's Six bowl spot. If they beat Arkansas this Friday, they will go to a New Year's Six bowl game more than likely, which would be huge for Eli Drinkwitz and that program. Again, a couple minor changes. Penn State up a spot. They beat Rutgers by 21. Oklahoma up a spot. They survived BYU in Provo by 7, 31-24. One of the biggest risers of the week is Arizona. How about the Wildcats? Give Jedd Fisch and the Wildcats some credit, guys. This was a team that, no one really expected to be sitting at 8-3 entering the final weekend of the year. No one expected to be a top 15 program, and yet they've won 5 straight games. 4 of those have come against ranked opponents, including this last week where they beat Utah 42-18, annihilated the Utes. So they skyrocket in the rankings. They're playing sound football on both sides of the ball, more than likely going to finish 9-3 if they can get past Arizona State. Maybe could flirt with a New Year's Six bowl game, might get left out, but for us, in the top 15, they skyrocket 6 spots from 19th to 13th following a dominant victory over a relatively solid Utah team. So give me Arizona, man. Probably one of the biggest surprises of the season. Ole Miss, LSU remaining put. Ole Miss beating ULM, LSU over Georgia State, beating 2 Sun Belt teams. They remain put. Ole Miss obviously getting the head-to-head tiebreaker there. They still remain ahead of the Tigers. Oregon State, we just mentioned, they lost to Washington. They dropped 6 spots. Another heartbreaking loss for the Beavers. They lost to Arizona a few weeks ago. Now they lose a one-possession game to Washington. They've been so close this year. Couldn't get over the hump. They dropped to 16, although they have an opportunity to play spoiler against Oregon on Friday night. Stay tuned. We'll have analysis on that game coming out later this week, but a big game between the Ducks and the Beavers. Major playoff implications in that one for the Ducks. Oregon State, again, hoping to play spoiler. It's going to be a fun one to watch out for. Tulane, they are the front runner right now for the New Year's Six bowl spot out of the group of 5 teams. They have an opportunity to go to back-to-back New Year's Six bowl games, but it's going to be tough. They beat Florida Atlantic this weekend. That's great. But then they got to beat UTSA this Friday. That's going to be a very tough game. If they can beat the Roadrunners, then they've got to win in the American Championship game, whether that's against SMU or UTSA again. So Tulane is the front runner right now. But a team like SMU could find their way in the rankings and get that New Year's Six bowl spot. A team like Liberty, maybe, depending on what the committee does. A team like UNLV, maybe. Toledo. We've got a handful of group of 5 representatives in our rankings right now. But Tulane is the front runner. They're going to be the front runner in the committee's rankings as well. All they got to do is just keep winning. You keep winning, and you're going back to a New Year's Six bowl. Can Willie Fritz and the Green Wave get it done? They come in at 17 for us, ahead of Kansas State, who beat Kansas 31-27. Extending their winning streak to 15 in the Sunflower Showdown. So Kansas State playing phenomenal ball and keeping their slight Big 12 title hopes alive. Oklahoma State is going to own the tiebreaker. Right now, the 3-way tie for second place. Oklahoma State owns that tiebreaker, but Kansas State still in the mix, depending on what happens this weekend. We do have the Wildcats ahead of Oklahoma State because their win over Kansas to us more so impressive than that of Oklahoma State's comeback victory over Houston. And keep in mind, 2 weeks ago, last week, whatever, Oklahoma State got killed by UCF. That margin of victory, not good, spent them spiraling after their win in Bedlam. Kansas State, the way they've played the last few weeks, getting the edge, even though they did lose to the Cowboys head-to-head. Notre Dame, in between them at 19, is a little bit of a gap there. They beat Wake Forest in the Sam Hartman reunion game. Hartman went off. Notre Dame defense went off, beat the Demon Deacons 45-7. They come in at 19. Cover the top 20. Final 5 here. We mentioned Liberty. They're up 3 spots. They beat UMass 49-25. Undefeated Liberty Flames, by the way. They are undefeated, but their strength of schedule has been so weak in the Conference USA. Can't help but wonder, are they going to get respect from the committee? And even if they do, would they even find a way to get into a New Year's Six bowl spot if there's chaos ahead of them? We're not sure. But the Conference USA Championship game will be against New Mexico State, who just went on the road and annihilated Auburn by 21 points. That would be a huge resume-boosting victory for the Flames if they can finish undefeated, and should surely stand out to the committee when that time comes. So Liberty in at 21, something to watch out for in the Conference USA these next few weeks. Iowa up a handful of spots against Illinois. The committee's going to have them ranked in the top 15. That's preposterous, but Iowa did clinch the Big Ten West. They're going back to the Big Ten championship game. They are only a 2-loss team. One of those losses coming in controversial fashion to Minnesota. They're playing good ball. It's boring football. It's close football, but they're winning. And they're winning. They're 9-2, have a shot to finish 10-2. And all things considered, a double-digit win season with as bad as their offense has been is pretty dang impressive. It's a testament just to how good Kirk Ferentz's Iowa defense really is. So the Hawkeyes in at 22. Give me some UNLV, man. Give me some Las Vegas. Give me the Rebels. 23, new to our rankings. Look, you might disagree with that. You might think SMU should be in there. Fresno State, maybe. I don't definitely agree with that. But, you look at UNLV. This is a team that is a 9-2 team in year 1 under Barry Odom. And their 2 losses are to Michigan, way back at the beginning of the year, and Fresno State in a very close game. That's it. They have one conference loss. They are the favorite to win the Mountain West right now. They just went on the road and beat Air Force 31-27. UNLV is playing really, really, really good football right now. It's been an unbelievable turnaround for this Rebels program. Have a shot to win the championship, the Mountain West Championship, and if they do, and there's chaos ahead of them, do not sleep on the Rebels. Maybe sleep in there and go to a New Year's Six Bowl. Very, very slim, but they deserve to be ranked. We've got them at 23rd. Toledo's in at 25. We're not ranked, but they come in after beating Bowling Green 32-31, came back down 28-10. They were 10-1 on the year. The only loss, Illinois in the season opener. They've won 10 straight games. The Rockets playing good ball. They will be in the MAC championship. And then we mentioned Kansas here, 24. Some people say Kansas should not be ranked. I disagree. We had Kansas at 16th going into their game against Kansas State. They lost that game by 4. Keep in mind, yes, they've lost their last 2 games. They've done so with their third-string quarterback in Cole Ballard, so I'm not going to extremely punish them. Kansas loses to Texas Tech at the last second with a third-string quarterback. They battle a very good Kansas State team to the final seconds with a third-string quarterback. You can only make excuses for so long, but again, if Jason Bean plays in those games, I think Kansas wins both. If Jalen Daniels plays in those games, Kansas wins both. So Kansas is a much better team than their record shows. They, to me, are still a fringe top 25 team. They remain in that spot. Very well could fall out by season's end, though. But give me the Jayhawks right now. Still like them above a team like SMU, Fresno State, NC State, Clemson. Guys that for us are right on the outside looking in. Jayhawks, to me, deserve to have that top 25 spot. So there you go, guys. Our GE top 25, second to last set of rankings. We got this one. We'll put out one more set of rankings next week after rivalry week. That'll get us into Conference Championship weekend. And then after Conference Championship Saturday, it will be Selection Sunday. It's going to be here before we know it. So this set of rankings and one more, we'll, of course, have you covered all the way up until Selection Sunday. We might not put out a full set of rankings again, but we will tell you who our top 4 we believe it should be. That's for a later date, though. Right now, it's rivalry week. We've got big games coming up. Michigan, Ohio State, the Iron Bowl, Oregon, Oregon State. Games that will have a major impact on conference races and the playoff race as well. We're going to have you covered with individual videos and our prediction videos for the biggest games of the week right here on the channel. So hit that notification button. Make sure to like, to comment, subscribe, share the videos, and get ready for one of the best times of the year. Rivalry week in college football right here on the Gridiron Expert. So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching us here on YouTube. Make sure to check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks and our new holiday special. Do not miss out on that big time offer, guys. Some of the best picks in the entire country. We want you to start winning big with us today. Consider it our holiday gift to you. Go check it out. Again, the link down in the description below. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.